So it's officially been 1 month since the launch of our Patreon here from Mathis Games, and the only thing I can say, and I believe I speak for Dean as well, is thank you. Thank you so much for the incredible amount of support on not only the Patreon, but just the series and the direction that we're going here on Mathis Games. To give you an idea, I had an expectation that we would hit maybe halfway to our first goal, the $500 goal, which is kind of the baseline to maintain 2 series that have the amount of production quality and the amount of time that we pour into it, like Kenshi and Zomboid. But not only did we reach the first goal of $500, we ended up reaching the second goal of 1,000 and the third goal of 1,500, which is where we start seeing voice actors coming in and paying people to kind of actually do professionally recorded lines. We're almost there as well. And that's baffling. That's really the only word I can think of when I talk about this, is that it is baffling in so many different ways, that there are so many out there that are willing to go past the algorithm, go past the AdSense, and directly support the channel. So for that, all I want to say is thank you. Where do we go from here? What are we going to do from here? Well, it's only been 1 month of Patreon so far, and already I'm trying to put in as much of the rewards and so on as I possibly can. Again, I expected so much less, so to be at this point this fast is exciting, but it means that me and Dean are starting to wind up here and get a bunch of content out for you. First and foremost, that means we will be continuing Kenshi and Project Zomboid regularly for as far as the eye can see. And if one of those series ends up ending due to a death or the story kind of concludes, then we will be going to the Discord and of course the Patreon webpage and asking all of those of the game suggestion tier and above what they'd like to see next. And then we'll take those suggestions as well as our own list and we'll weigh what we think would have the most potential for an exciting story that not only you guys would want to see, but that me and Dean have plenty of stories to create and tell from. On top of that, you'll be seeing a third series dipping in and out of the channel. While we maintain Kenshi and Project Zomboid, the second goal, the $1,000 goal, was more smaller series, shorter stories. Not the hoarder tier stuff, that's special and of its own ilk, but something along the lines of what you'll be seeing, either that's out already or will be out shortly after this video goes live, of a series called Outward. An RPG survival sandbox game where you are a nobody in a world filled with mythical monsters and magic, and there is no hero to rescue you in your town. Now, I'm not sure how much content there is and how much of a story I can tell in Outward, but I have an idea for one, and so I'm going to pursue it. And since we are doing so well on the channel, we can afford to put in more work and a few more hours a day to ensure that we get you a third series. So you'll be expecting some of that every month, a new series here and there that'll eat up 5 or so episodes, maybe somewhere to 10, or further if it really takes off. But we'll be able to experiment more and try out new things. Also on the table is more hoarder stuff. I've got one more episode of the Little Hoarder series that we ended up starting for the Patreon there, and I've already got the next game lined up for what I want to do after that. So if you're part of the Hoarder tier or thinking about the Hoarder tier, Objects in Space will be wrapped up with one more episode coming very soon, and then after that I think I'm going to check out Examina, or Exanima, or whatever the game is called. The N and the M, I think, are switched. Either way, that's the next one after that. And then as we continue to do the Patreon community streams, as time goes on, we'll swap up the games and more people will be able to join. And of course, if we have games that not everybody can fill up the spaces, we will open the floor to other patrons to just jump in and fill those spots, of course. We wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to do Mario Kart 8 with me and one person who can make it, and then that's it. The other thing I want to announce that I did talk a little bit about on Twitter is a future series that I will be tackling for certain. Now, the game I'm talking about I've played before, but when it eventually hits Steam, that's when I think it'll hit a whole new audience. And that, of course, is the game that is legendary, even amongst those who've never played it, Dwarf Fortress. If you don't know what Dwarf Fortress is, it's really complicated, and I suggest you go check it out, at least read up on how it works, but it is the perfect storytelling vessel for all kinds of bizarre, fun, and exciting stories. From the Fortress mode, where we can manage our own colony and see how that all plays out, or an Adventurer mode, where we create one person and explore the world that we generate. There's so many different kinds of stories we can tell that I'm eager to dive in. And that, of course, I think will eventually lead to Cataclysm: Dark Days Ahead. Now, I did visit that game on the channel a while back, and it did pretty well, but I have ideas. There's better ways to tell a story in those games, and I am right now tooling away up here onto how I want to approach those two specific types of games, since they're both ASCII art games, and how we're going to tell a story within those worlds. But all I can say, and all I'll say now, is that we will absolutely tackle it, and if we can get to the point on the Patreon where we have voice acting and artists working, I think there's a really good argument to be made that those will be some of the most enjoyable and high quality in production terms as far as series go on this channel, which is funny to say because those games are some of the most basic looking, though complexity and mechanics are some of the most deep I've ever played in my life. Beyond that, the director tier has already influenced the Kenshi story and the Project Zomboid story. I will spoil at the very least the Kenshi story. I put up a poll about what I would want to do with Rusthilt after Season 1 ended, and the poll ended up saying that Rusthilt would probably go out and make his own encampment, his own outpost, and I agree. And so I took that poll into consideration, and we moved forward making our own outpost in Season 2. The Zomboid one you're going to see play out over a little bit of time as we continue to play. So the director polls will continue to keep coming onto the Patreon and the Discord, and if there's something you guys want to see or change in those stories, the director tier is how you do it. I think that's it for Patreon updates. I kind of just want to take a little bit here at the end and just kind of talk to you directly and just say thank you. I really thought the Mathis Games channel was nigh on done. I figured that where it was at and where we were seeing it prior to Kenshi was where we were going to see that channel for the rest of its natural life. I did not think that we were going to see a resurgence like we are currently on the channel. It's completely changed the direction of not only the channel and the content, but genuinely my life. It's certainly changed how I look at how I'm going to be doing work, and I think I could say the same for Dean. So I'm not going to speak for him. Dean has been a very, very good friend, and he's the reason that the channel is doing as well as it's doing in a lot of ways. So I'm going to take a moment and let Dean say his part. Dean, the floor is yours.
I don't really have much to say other than thank you very much for welcoming me so warmly to the channel. It's been great. It's been really fun, and I appreciate all the support, both in terms of comments and Patreon support. It's great. I appreciate you all very, very much, and I hope I don't let you down day to day. Thank you very much.
I'm still reeling from the support here on Patreon, and it has genuinely changed everything from the way I work to what I look forward to doing every day. And every single day, when I see a new game announced or some of the games that I want to cover, my mind is flooded with different stories that we can tell together. So let's continue opening some new books and checking out some new games and tell as many tales as we can, as long as you're willing to listen and to watch. Thank you for turning this page in my life and opening up a new chapter. Together, let's open up the next chapter of the next great story. I love you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.